Today, we're diving deep into the pretty extraordinary journey of Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba.
Yeah, and it's not just about saying he built a big company. We really need to get into the core strategy question here. How did someone with basically zero tech skills, who faced rejection after rejection, in all the usual paths, how did he manage to create this massive digital empire, an empire that completely reshaped commerce, first in Asia and then way beyond?
That's exactly it. That's the paradox we're chasing, isn't it? Because the sources, they paint this picture of just relentless struggle. I mean, it's failure after failure academically, then getting turned down for jobs. Famously, even KFC wouldn't hire him.
Right.
And yet this is the guy whose company succeeded where huge Western players like eBay actually stumbled and failed in China. So we're looking for the blueprint. How did Ma turn all that rejection into, well, a winning business strategy?
Precisely. We have to look at those early struggles, not just as interesting biographical details, but really as the fire that forged his whole approach to business risk, to resilience. It shaped everything.
Okay, right. So let's lay the groundwork. Ma Yun, that's his real name, born 1964, Hangzhou, China. Grew up poor, and this was just as China was starting to, open up a bit to the world. But what defined him early on was this almost obsessive determination. Curiosity, too.
That curiosity, yeah. It really comes through in how he learned English. The sources make a big deal of this, and for good reason. He'd ride his bike, like for miles, just to hang around hotels and talk to foreign tourists. Think about that effort. He wasn't just picking up a language. He was getting this global perspective, a broader mindset, as the sources call it, something most people around him just didn't have access to. It was like his first go at bootstrapping opportunity out of thin air.
And yet, all that drive, it didn't really translate into school success. That's crucial here. He failed basic exams multiple times. Primary school, middle school, even the university entrance exams. It was a consistent pattern struggling inside the traditional system.
hmm It really highlights how, the standard ways we measure intelligence or potential, they just didn't capture what made him unique. His genius was different. It was about vision, about people. That list of early failures is kind of incredible, and it ends with that legendary KFC rejection,
Yeah.
the only one out of 24 applicants turned away. So think about it. By the time he started thinking about business, he was basically immune to the fear of hearing no. He'd had so much practice in just keeping going. Persistence was baked in.
He did eventually get into Hangzhou Normal University, right?
Yep.
Studied English and then became an English teacher. A lot of accounts sort of gloss over this teaching period, but you argue it was actually foundational for his leadership.
Oh, absolutely. Foundational. Think about what teaching is. It's
Yeah.
about inspiring a group, right? Managing different personalities, getting everyone focused on a single mission. You have to communicate clearly, make complex things simple. So when Mott started Alibaba, he wasn't running it like your typical tech CEO. He ran it more like a really charismatic headmaster.
Interesting. So the lack of a tech background almost forced him to double down on communication, culture, the long-term vision, skills he actually honed in the classroom.
Exactly. His style, which was all about loyalty, shared vision, this became Alibaba's secret weapon almost. He hammered home these core values. They had the 6 values internally, things like customer first, embrace change.
Hmm.
And he could explain them using simple stories, parables almost, that really hit home with his team and, importantly, with the local market. That clarity, that skill, came straight from his teaching days. It was vital for keeping a team motivated when things looked, frankly, pretty uncertain.
Okay, so let's shift to the big moment. Mid-1990s, Ma's in the US, sees the internet, gets the potential, and heads back to China. He's got the vision, but China's internet scene back then, total chaos, right? So how did Alibaba, starting in his apartment in 99, actually become more than just an idea?
Well, he saw a solution to a very specific Chinese problem. You gotta remember, credit cards weren't common. Trust online, basically zero. And he had all these small businesses, the backbone of China's manufacturing, but they had no way to reach global markets. So his initial vision wasn't about fancy tech. It was purely about helping the little guy, the small and medium businesses, sell their stuff to the world.
And this is where you see the strategic mind kicking in. He didn't just launch a platform, he adapted it, especially when competitors showed up.
Yes. And this is where, frankly, a lot of Western analysis kind of misses the point. When he launched Taobao, the C2C marketplace, he immediately ran into eBay. And eBay was huge. They were pushing harder to China, had better tech, global brand, tons of money. It looked like an impossible fight.
But Alibaba won. They actually beat eBay in China. That's a massive lesson right there. How did this little startup pull that off?
Two things mainly: localization and solving the trust issue head on. eBay charged fees to list items, just like they did in the West.
Mhm.
Ma made Taobao listings free. Big difference. But more crucially, he understood Chinese consumers. He built features that encouraged people to talk, to build trust personally, and then the masterstroke, Alipay.
Right, Alipay, which later spun off into Ant Group. We need to pause here. Why was Alipay so strategically vital? And how did this payment thing become its own giant entity?
He was a total game changer. It solved the trust problem for payments directly. Like I said, no real credit card system meant people were wary of paying online. So Alipay created an escrow service. Simple idea, really. Your money goes to Alipay first, sits there. The seller only gets paid after you, the buyer, confirm you've got the goods and you're happy.
Wow. So Alipay wasn't just processing payments, it was actively manufacturing trust in a market where it didn't exist. That's real innovation.
Absolutely. And this willingness to build the missing pieces themselves, that vertical integration that's a signature of Alibaba's success. They didn't sit around waiting for banks to catch up. They built their own financial world.
And as they got bigger, they hit another wall, right? The technical infrastructure couldn't keep up. Which leads to the third big pillar, AliCloud.
Yeah, AliCloud came out of pure strategic need. Think about Singles Day, their massive shopping festival. It makes Black Friday look tiny in terms of sheer transaction volume. You can't manage that kind of insane, spiky traffic on someone else's servers reliably. So they had to build their own cloud computing infrastructure. By doing that, they stabilized their main e-commerce business, and they accidentally created a whole new, hugely profitable business selling that cloud infrastructure to other companies in China.
It's pretty incredible how each big move, e-commerce, then finance, then cloud, it was all solving a specific Chinese problem first, which then turned into something globally relevant. Ties right back to his idea of finding opportunity in problems.
Exactly. You look at Alibaba today, connecting millions of sellers and buyers, Ant Group handling enormous payment volumes, Ali Cloud providing the digital backbone for so much of the Chinese economy.
Yeah.
It all tracks back to that initial mission, empower the small merchant.
Okay, so we've walked through the timeline, the big strategic moves. Let's try and synthesize this for the listener. If we move beyond just the story, what are, say, 3 key lessons from Ma's journey that people can actually use? Not the generic stuff, but the real insights.
Okay, 3 key takeaways. First, let's revisit vision, but let's be specific. It's about market foresight.
Yeah.
His vision wasn't just, oh, the internet's going to be big. No, it was seeing specifically how the internet could lift up small businesses that were geographically stuck. And crucially, seeing the problems, lack of trust, bad logistics, and figuring out how to solve them when others just saw roadblocks.
Right, seeing the solution within the problem. Okay, what's second?
Second, strategic adaptability.
Mm.
When eBay came at him, he didn't just try to spend more money or copy them. He changed the game. He localized, offered a free model built for China. That ability to pivot quickly and radically, that's worth way more than having the perfect tech on day one.
Okay, foresight, adaptability. And the third lesson. Seems like it loops back to the start.
It does. Cultural leadership. You mentioned the 6 values. Ma built a culture that was incredibly passionate, focused on the long haul. You hear his advice all the time. Early in your career, focus on learning, not just the paycheck.
Which connects to his other point about working with people smarter than you, doesn't it?
Directly. If your only goal is quick profit, you're not going to bring in brilliant people who might challenge your ideas or push things in unexpected directions. Ma, with that teacher mindset, he surrounded himself with top talent, gave them the mission, and trusted them to figure out the how. That takes a certain kind of confidence.
And for anyone listening who's maybe facing a tough spot right now, trying to crack a big problem, there's that famous quote of his the sources always highlight. It really sums up the grit involved in building all those pieces. Alipay, AliCloud.
Yeah, he says, today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. It's powerful because it acknowledges the struggle, right? It says that enduring the pain, sometimes for longer than you expect, is actually part of the process for achieving something really big, something transformative.
You know, the thing that really sticks with me from all this, it's that his lack of technical expertise was, in a weird way, a strength. It meant he had to focus on the human side, trust, communication, culture, instead of getting lost in the technology itself.
Absolutely. Jack Ma's story is a potent reminder, I think. Scale, real impact. It often comes from tackling the difficult, necessary problems head on, not just chasing the easy wins. So if you're looking at your own work, your own challenges right now, maybe ask yourself, what's the fundamental piece that's missing here? What do I need to build myself, even if it's hard? And crucially, are you prepared to push through tomorrow, even if it is worse than today, to get to that sunshine? Because that's the kind of persistence it takes to really change the game.